So Chris and I just watched The Batman last night, and which is the most recent iteration with Robert Pattinson. And I gotta say, as much as I love Christian Bale, and as much as I love the Nolan trilogy of Batman films, and I am one of those people who actually really loved Ben Affleck's take on the character in the Snyderverse. I really honestly think that this is the coolest iteration of the Batman persona that I have ever seen. It's extremely dark, it's extremely gritty. We're catching up with Batman a couple of years into his career, as a crime fighting detective. It's a noir film at its core, and everything about this just worked. It was just an action packed. This is almost a 3 hour film as well. Like it was literally, we kind of had to take a break midway through and just be like, oh my God, is this, how far are we in? And I was like looking at the timer going, wow, we're only halfway through. Like this is a massive film. And there are just so many layers going on here. Um, I wasn't sure going in what I was going to think about this because, as good as the cast was, I've never seen Catwoman portrayed in a way that I liked. Like Michelle Pfeiffer's take on it was good. It was quirky. It was Tim Burton-y. Um, the Halle Berry film was a freaking disaster. Like I did try to watch it. I think I did finish it whenever it came out, but it was so horrific. I just kind of wrote it off as being like this horrific film. But she was very well done here. It wasn't over the top. It was definitely more of a, realistic sort of thief type character. But overall, I just think that the way they did this film, the way it was filmed, the cinematography, the coloring, the lighting, the soundtrack was absolutely phenomenal, and some of the set pieces. But Colin Farrell as the Penguin was probably the the piece de resistance of this film because he just like I knew going into it who he was. I knew who he was portraying because it was all over the press when this film was coming out, and I just didn't have time to watch it when it was in the theaters. I think we were moving, and then where we live now, we're 2 hours away from the cinema, so I just kind of forgot all about it. And then we were looking at films to watch this week, and we've been watching a lot of stuff. Like we watched the Uncharted film the other day, which I'll probably do a review on at some point. Fun, quirky, but not what I was expecting, not what I was wanting. But this film gave me everything I wanted out of a Batman film. So let's talk a little bit about, I think, first and foremost, the direction on this. I think that when you look at, if you haven't watched, I think it was the previous, I think he did all three. I'm double checking really quick because Matt Reeves has done some really cool stuff. Uh, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, Rise of the Planet of the Apes, and War of the Planet of the Apes. So if you've not watched the recent Planet of the Apes films that Matt Reeves did, holy crap, are those good movies? And Andy Serkis, of course, playing Caesar in those films, and coming back here to play, um, the butler that we all know and love for Bruce Wayne. Um, there is a lot of attention to detail in his films. One of the things I loved about his Planet of the Apes trilogy was the believability and the emotional connection that you had with the characters, even though they were this anthropomorphic, they weren't human, but you still felt for them. And this is done very well here. I think that the portrayals from all of the cast members were absolutely phenomenal. With, of course, Colin Farrell taking the cake here as the Penguin, but Paul Dano as I think it's Paul Dano. Let me double check. I sometimes forget people's names. Dun, 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 cast. Skarsgård as Gil Coulson was good. Dun, 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 where is it at here? John Turturro as Carmine Falcone. Jeffrey Wright, of course, as James Gordon. Yeah, Paul Dano as the Riddler was just phenomenal. But the directing here is such that you really do feel like you could get into the characters' heads in a way that I felt like Christopher Nolan's version of the Batman films, as much as I love those movies, and Heath Ledger's Joker is always going to be the quintessential Joker for me. Um, his films felt more like Hollywood spectacular, like blockbuster type film. This feels like a gritty noir film. It just feels like a detective movie. And that's who, at the core of it, if you go back to some of the comics, that's what Batman was. So the directing was great, cinematography was great, the music is phenomenal, the acting is absolutely out of this world. The plot was pretty good. I was not expecting the Riddler to be the primary antagonist here, and of course we get to the end and we got the Joker in the cell, which is a perfect segue into if they decide to pursue this into another film, we have somewhere else to go. But I think Chris, in particular, having not watched a lot of, she's never seen like the Michael Keaton, Tim Burton films from I think it was what the 80s, was it the 80s, late 80s, early 90s. She only knows the Christopher Nolan films with Christopher Bale, with Christian Bale, and she loves those films. We've seen those together several times. And this, she also has seen the Zack Snyder films, but she's more into those because of Superman and Henry Cavill, and who wouldn't be? And Batman is sort of a peripheral character in those films anywhere other than the Batman versus Superman film. Um, but this does the character justice. It's very well done. And you always feel like he's on the brink of losing, especially when we get towards the end and all the set pieces are coming together and you realize that even though he thinks he's won, he hasn't won. And there's also this incredibly dark backstory with his dad having this, this moment of having gone to the mob for help to, save his wife, Bruce's mother from having this, reputation smeared because of mental illness and stuff. So much going on here. Quick
But
commercial
the
break,
set
everyone, to give a shout out to all of these amazing people who are the guild champions at the highest tiered membership here on our channel. And of course, all of the members who help keep me full time and doing this for your enjoyment. If you would also like to become a member, you get access to tons of special stuff like live stream, member only chat, private videos for our members several times a week. It's really simple. Just pick your tier, go from there. You can also do super chats or super thanks on any stream, YouTube short, or video that you see. Don't forget the Discord. Links are down below. Let's get back to the video. But the set pieces, there were a couple of sequences in particular that blew my mind visually. One is the car chase scene where he comes out and he's chasing the penguin down the highway and he's got, I don't even know what kind of car. It's like a classic 70s hot rod juiced up with an engine that Batman is driving on the road and just the roar of that engine, and it's not like a flashy. This is what I liked about this character. He's not using like too many flashy gadgets other than the contact lenses. He's mostly just it's stuff that he's made in his garage, from scratch, and it doesn't have that polished feel of the Nolan films where he had, billions of dollars and he was, getting assets that were military grade. This is much more I'm building it all myself and I'm a couple years into my career and I'm figuring it all out. But that car was amazing and that chase sequence down the highway and I literally Chris like shoved me and told me to calm down because I yelled really loud when they're going down and the penguin slams on his brake checks the semi truck, which then starts to spin out of control and flips over on its side and all this stuff's happening, and as it happens everything falls out perfectly and it creates a ramp, and I see the ramp forming, and then the camera switches angles, and I was like, I knew immediately that that was going to be a ramp for him to jump on, to jump over. And then the camera pans back around, and you see the penguin, and he's racing away, and there's explosions happening behind me, and he thinks he's gotten away, and he's screaming to himself, and all of a sudden, here comes the car launching through that fireball, and just you hear the room of the engine, and I was just like, yeah, this is fucking awesome. That scene in particular, and then also there is a scene in the hallway towards the end of it. I think it's when he's coming for Falcone. I forget. Um, but there's this darkened hallway, and it's only lit by the automatic gunfire from these weapons that are firing on the Batman. And so you're getting this like stuttering staccato, strobe light effect as he's coming down the hallway towards the camera, like taking out guys left and right as they're firing automatic weapons at him. And it's just an incredibly visually tense sequence. You're just like, oh my god, this just looks so cool. all of that just came together to create a really good Batman film. I give this a solid 10 out of 10. I saw nothing wrong with this movie. If it leads to a sequel, I will absolutely watch it. Matt, you did it. Good job, man. Like I loved your Planet of the Apes films. This is really good. And Robert Pattinson, man, I think that I've watched his career now. There's been Patterson. Sorry, I said Patterson, and I said that wrong. It's Pattinson. He has done some really cool films. I'm gonna go through. Cosmopolis was amazing. The Lost City of Z was amazing. The Lighthouse, of course, which was really dark and creepy and weird. He's done some really cool stuff, and it's funny because I remember originally when I saw him in Twilight, I kind of wrote him off, and then over the years I've seen him do some amazing movies, and it's like this guy is absolutely just knocking it out of the park with his roles. And his performance here as this tortured soul who just doesn't care about Wayne Enterprises and he doesn't care about any of it. He just wants to help people and just again everybody is this is actors at the top of their game. I have nothing bad to say about this film, and that's really hard in the age we live in where so many films are filled with, things that are hard to swallow from political standpoints and things. And this didn't have any of that. It was just a really good action movie that didn't feel overly polished. It didn't feel like a Marvel movie. It felt like we're getting back to like a real gritty, you know, anti-hero sort of thing. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for me. Loved it. Love to hear your thoughts if you've seen this movie. Drop it down below. Of course, if you want to see me do more film reviews, like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Let me know in the comments below. I don't do films as much as I do TV shows, but I'm starting to want to do more films on my channel, so hopefully this resonates with y'all. Until next time, everybody, stay safe. Don't forget daily streams at 11 a.m. and of course Discord. Links are down below. See you next time.